crossing the US-Canada border used to feel like visiting a neighbor. Quick, friendly, and easy. For decades, families and friends would drive across for a day of shopping, a hockey game, or just to share a meal, barely thinking twice about the process. The border was more of a formality than a barrier, a place where smiles and small talk were the norm. Now, in October 2025, that's changed. The air is tense, and questions at the border are sharper, especially about what you're bringing in. Officers are more vigilant, and travelers sense the shift in mood. The once welcoming checkpoints now feel like gateways to uncertainty. The border, once a symbol of friendship, now marks a deep economic divide. It's no longer just a line on a map, but a visible reminder of growing differences and new challenges. It all shifted in August 2024, when the US imposed heavy tariffs on Canadian goods. The announcement sent shockwaves through both countries, disrupting trade and daily life. Suddenly, everyday items, maple syrup, wool socks, come with unexpected duties. Even the simplest pleasures, like bringing home a favorite treat, now come with a cost. Cross-border shopping trips are complicated and expensive, a sign of a much larger storm. What was once a weekend tradition for many families has become a stressful ordeal, filled with paperwork and uncertainty. This isn't just about inconvenience, it's a fundamental shift in the relationship between two close allies. The trust and ease that defined the border for generations are now in question. Canadians are now facing tough questions. Will my job survive? Will my community be able to adapt? The uncertainty is felt in every corner of the country. Can I afford my rent? Will my family be okay if prices keep rising? These worries are becoming part of daily life. The easy, open feeling at the border is gone, replaced by caution and concern. Every crossing now comes with a sense of risk and hesitation. Across Canada, there's a quiet struggle, families and workers feeling the impact of tariffs. The effects ripple through communities, changing routines and futures. As travelers, we have a responsibility to look past the scenery and see the real human stories. Every journey across the border is now a window into the challenges faced by ordinary people. Understanding this struggle is the first step toward appreciating the resilience of the Canadian people. In the face of uncertainty, communities are coming together, determined to weather the storm and find hope for the future. So, what are these tariffs? Why are they causing such a stir between Canada and the US? Simply put, they're taxes on Canadian goods entering the US, 35% on most items, 50% on copper. These taxes are added to the cost of goods, making them more expensive for American consumers. That means a $10 product now costs $13 or more for Americans, making Canadian goods less appealing. This price hike can deter consumers from buying Canadian products. The official reason? National security. The US government claims these tariffs are necessary to protect the country. President Trump says these tariffs protect American industries from foreign competition, aiming to boost domestic production and jobs. But many question this logic, and the US Supreme Court will soon weigh in. The debate continues over whether these tariffs are truly beneficial. Canada responded with its own 25% tariffs on $155 billion of American goods. This move was a direct retaliation to the US tariffs. This tit-for-tat is a trade war, and both sides are feeling the pain. The economic impact is significant, affecting businesses and consumers alike. Our economies are deeply connected. A car part might cross the border several times before it's finished. This interdependence complicates the situation further. Tariffs disrupt this flow, making everything more expensive, from groceries to cars. The increased costs are felt by consumers on both sides of the border. Even small purchases are affected. The US ended a rule that let Canadians send packages under $800 tax-free. Now these small transactions are also subject to tariffs. Now, almost everything is taxed. The financial burden is widespread, impacting everyday shopping and business operations. For ordinary people, it's confusing, but the impact is real. Families are feeling the pinch in their wallets. Doing business, and even being neighbors, has become harder and costlier. The tariffs have strained relationships and increased operational costs. The bottom line, tariffs are changing daily life on both sides of the border. The economic and social impacts are profound and far-reaching. Beyond politics and numbers, the real cost of tariffs is measured in people's lives. It's a story of communities struggling to stay afloat. In Ontario and Quebec, manufacturing towns are hit hard. Once thriving streets now echo with silence. Factories have laid off workers like Jean-Paul, who lost his job after 30 years in steel. His story is one of many. These weren't just jobs, they were the backbone of families and communities. They provided stability and hope. When factories close, the pain spreads. Diners lose customers. Hardware stores sell less. Truck drivers lose contracts. The ripple effect is profound. Even big manufacturers like Packer have laid off hundreds due to supply chain disruptions. The impact is widespread. The result? A dramatic rise in homelessness in cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary. Streets are becoming home for many. People are forced to choose between rent, food, and keeping the lights on. Basic necessities are now luxuries. The safety net is breaking and more families are falling through the cracks. Social services are overwhelmed. Tent encampments and people asking for help are now common sights. The face of poverty is changing. The connection between tariffs, job losses, and the housing crisis is clear. It's a chain reaction of hardship. Economic instability is shaking the foundation for many Canadians. The future feels uncertain. These aren't just statistics, they're stories of dignity lost and homes at risk. Every number represents a life disrupted. The trade war's human cost is visible everywhere. It's a crisis that demands attention. Economic policies are never just about numbers, they're about people. Real lives are at stake. To understand the impact, you have to walk the streets. In Toronto's Kensington market, shop owners struggle with rising costs and fewer American tourists. Margins are shrinking, and anxiety about the future is growing. In Calgary, the energy sector faces new pressures. Laid-off engineers tell me companies are hesitant to invest. The city's optimism is tempered by uncertainty. In Vancouver, the port's connection to the US is disrupted, and the housing crisis is worse than ever. Tent encampments are now a common sight, a stark contrast to the city's beauty. Despite these challenges, life goes on. Kids play hockey, communities gather, but conversations are different. People talk about gas prices, groceries, and jobs. There's a sense of bracing for a storm, but also of sticking together. The pulse of these cities is still strong, but it's more cautious. Struggle and endurance define the new rhythm. Canadians are adapting, but the challenges are real. The economic pain is visible, but so is the determination to endure. Amid hardship, the resilience of Canadians truly stands out. Communities are organizing food drives and job-sharing networks to support those hit hardest by the economic downturn. There's a renewed focus on buying local. Farmers markets are busy, and small-town shops see more locals than ever. Canadians are vacationing at home, rediscovering the beauty of their own country. I met Maria, who lost her auto plant job but retrained for work in the renewable energy sector. Her story is one of grit and adaptation, reflecting a larger trend across the nation. People are learning new skills and reinventing themselves for the future. This isn't about ignoring problems, it's about facing them together as a united community. Communities are focusing on strengths, not losses, and building a brighter future. Even in tough times, the Canadian spirit finds ways to connect, create, and endure, showing remarkable resilience. Canada isn't waiting for the storm to pass. The government is providing emergency aid, enhanced unemployment, and retraining for affected workers. At the same time, Canada is seeking new trade partners in Europe and Asia. To reduce reliance on the U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is working to open new markets for Canadian businesses. Diplomats are pushing for a resolution with the U.S., arguing tariffs hurt both sides. There's cautious optimism, especially with the Supreme Court case looming, but no one is waiting for miracles. Canada's approach is pragmatic: immediate help, new partnerships, and ongoing dialogue. The national deficit is rising, but most agree these steps are necessary. It's a difficult path, but Canada is moving forward with purpose and hope. My journey through Canada has been a lesson in empathy. Tariffs and trade wars aren't just headlines, they're real struggles for real people. As travelers, we're ambassadors. We can connect, listen, and support local communities. What's happening in Canada is a human story of resilience and connection. The first step is to stay informed and listen to those affected. When you travel, be thoughtful, support local businesses, and show solidarity. Borders may divide, but people-to-people connections endure. The friendship between Canadians and Americans is being tested, but it will survive. Let's lean in, listen, and strengthen the bonds that make us good neighbors. Because caring for each other's struggles is what truly makes us strong.